Welcome back, and thank you for taking the time to continue this examination of the presentation, Scriptures in the Toolbox, Message from a Watchman by Symmanayah. And I cannot stress it enough, I realize your time is valuable and important to you. So thanks again for returning and continuing your walk to examine this presentation. We will continue after the disclaimer has been read. Let us proceed. As I read the disclaimer, this is important, and so you will find it in each video and each presentation. The views expressed in this presentation do not reflect the views of any technological portal I use. My views do not reflect the management and or staff of YouTube, Ustream, Facebook, Talk, or any other such communication portals. Like with any information presented, you are advised to research and seek confirmation. Each of us are held accountable for our own actions and decisions. Let the presentation begin. Let us continue looking at this spiritual element. I left off by talking about the alter action. In other words, sometimes we reach a point where we need to learn how to be still. Otherwise, we may find ourselves getting in the way of what the Father is doing, what He's saying. Sometimes when there's much conflict and confusion and division, we need to quit trying to help move a thought or force someone to believe a certain way. Have we learned how to be still? Sometimes being still means walking away, stepping away, not continually fueling a conversation. So it is important that we realize that there's a spiritual battle going on. Just as much as we should get to know the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha, we need to be able to identify when the voice of the enemy is trying to use our brains and cause us to do some things that are contrary to Scripture. And we need to be able to rebuke that, repel that influence, repel that spiritual element. So I say to you, as you walk this journey, as we walk this journey, let us begin to realize the importance of how the Scriptures are important in this walk, and how the Scriptures tie to the spiritual element, that influence, that inward influence. Let us realize how important the connectivity is in order for us to have a wholesome and righteous, obedient walk while we yet have breath. And if you can receive this, if you can receive this spiritual battle, if you can receive the importance of the Scriptures, if you can see how we must lean to the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha, so that that spiritual element is brought into balance, is brought into obedience, such that our physical selves, that human factor, demonstrates the actions that are consistent with what we read in Scripture. That our lifestyle, this is very, very important. Let us move on. And as we move forward, how many of us have considered the math? In other words, do the math. Basic addition. We have mind, body, soul, Scriptures, spirit, and actions. These attributes are representative in our journey. We cannot escape the end results. We cannot escape the decision, the judgment of whether we live or die. We cannot escape how the future will unfold. Sooner or later, we will face the Almighty Father and must give an account for our actions. When I say do the math, understand that in our mind, and I'm going to say mind here as it relates to brain. The brain have cognitive factors. Yes, it functions in ways that medical science has defined. The brain functions in ways that mankind cannot even define, but they've given it a shallow definition, or their academic best shot, or their scientific or medical best shot. But the mind, before we actually start physically doing something, there's something inside of us that causes that cognitive factor to function within us. And as a result of that, our body responds. And so therefore, we see the physical action. So, is the soul our conscience? Is the soul our inward man, our spirit? That's debatable. Yes, it's debatable. You can grab dictionaries and find any dictionary that you find is some man's interpretation and definition. But I put this up here in terms of doing the math for us to realize that there is an inward man. Some may look at the soul as the inward man. But do not get hung up on these words, but just realize that we are more than just dirt. And we are more than just living dirt. We are a living being made possible, made in the likeness of the Father. In the scriptures, we cannot live and walk this earth and think we're going to have a wholesome relationship with the Father in the name of the Son without any scriptures. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. For the scriptures hasn't always been, the written scriptures hasn't always been. But as it stands right now, the scriptures play a vital role in our walk, in our ability to understand, in our ability to differentiate between the difference between the spirit of Yahusha and the enemy. Our actions just don't occur on their own. There are influences. So let us do the math. Let us do the basic addition, knowing that these are the components that we represent. Mind, body, soul, scriptures, written in living, influences our actions. It's a spiritual walk, it's a physical walk, it's a real walk. Let us keep that in mind. Let us quit taking things for granted. And let us walk with the boldness of true obedient servants to Yahuwah. Let us press forward into this matter. Let us begin to look at more things that make up this journey we call life. And as we move forward, we realize this journey, it is life. It is made possible by the restoration that the Messiah made possible, that the Father made possible in His plan. We realize in this journey called life that there's regeneration. And we talked about that, how the regenerating power of His atonement, His Spirit, His shed blood, His living Spirit, His Ruach HaKadosh, His set-apart Spirit. And we realize along this journey that some will meet death. Whether it be death, that's sleep. We know that there's a place, there's some place that is in the hands of the Father until final judgment. We realize at the end and the beginning, the full transformation is established when we see Yahusha. For we shall see Him as He is, we shall be as He is in terms of shape and form, as it is written in Scripture. So this journey, let us not take it for granted. no one knows exactly the day that they will be called to rest, or the exact day where transformation will take place. We don't know that. So let us walk as responsible believers, servants of the Most High. Each action that we take, let us realize that the choices we make come with accountability. There's a master plan that Yahuwah have laid out for us. There are individual plans that requires our actions, our obedience, our demonstration of our contribution to this body, in which is fitly knitted together by the power of his might and according to his scriptures. There are group plans when individuals come together, knowing when to be humble, when to submit, when to yield to that shaping, that molding, that shaping that the Father have for bringing Yashar'al together. And each of these groups, as they grow stronger in righteousness, those that grow in righteousness becomes part of a bigger group and a bigger group, until this whole body is fitly joined together, as Scripture states that it will. We will see a demonstration, a gathering of Yashar'al, and we will see it. Many of us fail to ask ourselves, well, how do we plan for such? What should we be doing as we wait for this to unveil? There are actions, there are deeds, there are tasks, from an individual perspective, from a group perspective. And trust me, the Spirit of Yahusha will guide us into bringing this together, for it is written in Scripture. Counting the cost. Would that require some sacrifice, some letting go? Would that require some receiving, taking on more? The cost, the results, the impact. We will be able to witness. We will be part of witnessing amongst one another in fellowship the unfolding of this master plan. Each of us will witness in our own way, and based on our position and where we are in Scripture and maturity and walk in obedience, how we interpret what we witness is going to be up to our relationship with the Father, in the name of the Son, Yahusha. True definitions and interpretations, rightly dividing Scripture, as I said, Yah will prove, and he will bring to remembrance all that is needed. Let us take in as much as we can in Scripture and be prepared, and let us be able to press forward, knowing that the ultimate toolbox is the Scripture, and that the ultimate teacher and guide is the Father. In the name of the Son, Yahusha HaMashiach, my Messiah, my King, our Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So let us prepare, and let us walk this journey, and let us allow the Spirit of Yahusha to guide us as we reach into the Scriptures. So let us study the Scriptures, because if we put it in us, his Spirit will bring it out of us, and it's going to do what it's set out to do. It's going to perform that task. Isaiah 55:11. Read it, and read it again, for it removes most of the burdens that we have, thinking that we need to help the Father. Isaiah 55:11. Let's take that and let us be obedient to him. This concludes Scriptures in a Toolbox. I hope this presentation has been informative and fruitful. Pause this slide so that you can read the content on this presentation. I like to say shalom to those who seek to worship the Most High in obedience to him according to his word. And as I state many times, chastening and judgment to those who purposely are disobedient and rebellious. Shalom. Thanks for examining this presentation. Pause this slide to examine its content. Thank you.